You're being manipulated and you're being forced to believe that just this one upload will make a difference. It won't. The small channels are competing with AI slop, media corporations disguised as creators, and a literal army of reactors making more money by watching your video than you made by creating it. There is only one way to get money and recognition on YouTube, and you won't like it. Once you're done with this video, it will make you love your 9 to 5 a little bit more. YouTube wants you to believe that if you just make great content, you will naturally rise to the top. And to be honest, when they tell you about consistency,
staying consistent with your content,
never stop making stuff,
they aren't really lying. They just mean that you have to do the same fucking thing over and over and over. The algorithm is the tool to categorize terabytes of video wasteland into something manageable. For what, you may ask? Let's keep the intrigue till the end. YouTube is designed to reward repetitive behavior and it punishes creativity. You are encouraged to be yourself, but this yourself must be a static brand image for the rest of your creative life. YouTube's engineers will tell you that the algorithm follows the audience. What they don't tell you is that it trains the fucking audience. It has trained them to expect a very specific type of content from a very specific source. YouTube demands stagnation, and it wants you to be so desperate that you start spending not only your time on it, but your money too. You've seen these degenerates. They tell you this one tweak will make your channel grow. They're here to tell you why you must become a creator. But first, buy this snake oil in hopes of getting views. Their words sound appealing because they sell the dream of freedom. To succeed, you just need a passion and a camera, because the internet is obviously a fair space where abundance is for everyone, and definitely not a digital casino. Why are they doing this? Because the most profitable niche on YouTube isn't making content, it's telling other people how to make content. And imagine all the honestly hard-working authors who believe them and want to really turn their passion into making a living. But these gurus never cared about them. They just don't care about you guys. You're only needed to buy their courses, their methods, and their plugins. They just sell shovels in this gold rush. But it gets even worse than that. They want you to believe that success is only a technical problem. When you fail, you don't know that the system is rigged or the market is oversaturated. You're mostly told that it's because you didn't optimize your thumbnail, your retention metric, or you didn't engage your community enough. And gurus won't respond to your reasonable question, how the fuck would I engage the community of 3 viewers? But they tell you that if Mr. Beast and PewDiePie did it, you can too. No, you actually cannot. They started in a different era with different competition and with a lower bar for quality. And they have access to the data that you will never have. And I dare any of them to prove me wrong, because if they try to make a completely new channel with completely new videos, without their personalities, without their branding and their production team, they'll get fucked like the rest of us. The whole tragedy of YouTube is that it has convinced people they can win this lottery. For that, they just must keep uploading, and millions, including myself of course, upload. All for the views, because the views are the new religion. Nobody clicks on a video with no views, you know you don't. A video with 1 million views and a numb face is perceived as essential viewing, while your masterpiece with 14 views is received as amateur garbage. The algorithm knows that the human brains want social proof. We are herd animals after all. If we see a crowd gathering around a fire, we want to see what's burning. If we see a lonely man shouting in an empty park, we walk a little faster in the opposite direction. To break out, you have to find a way to trick the herd into thinking you're already popular. You understand how fucked up this is? But gurus have an answer too. Pick a niche.
Find something that can be your niche.
And it's not really a bad advice if you wanted to sell something essential. Let's say this. But it comes like a betrayal after the promises of freedom. They say something like, don't be a gamer, review the left-handed weapons in 2004 RPGs. Very fun, right? YouTube spends billions to perfect its audience segmentation. It wants to know what you want to watch long before you click on any video. This means that it must have the same sharp segregation of authors and the content, so the new creators must show that they fit an already existing category, or fuck off. You may agree to this, so you start competing for attention. The space is limited and you are not invited in, by the way. Your spot is already being taken by massive server farms, with AI generators flooding the YouTube with slop. They know how to abuse the system. They know the exact millisecond a viewer's attention spans drop, and they will fill it with a loud noise or a flashing graphic. They use the practices like keyword stuffing, engagement baiting, and thumbnail manipulation to hijack the recommendation engine. You basically fish with a tiny rod, while they throw dynamite to bring the biggest hauls. Once again, success on this platform doesn't have anything to do with being a good filmmaker, writer, editor, musician, any of those. It has everything to do with being a good marketing analyst. Are you prepared to spend 70% of your time looking at retention graphs? Are you ready to analyze the impressions click-through rate? Do you enjoy the A/B testing titles and thumbnails? Because if you do, become a proper marketing analyst. It's a well-respectable and it's a well-paid job that doesn't require you begging for likes. But I know what you're thinking right now. Not me though, I'll be different. You'll most probably ignore all that I've said and proceed with your creative journey, and you will run into another great piece of advice. Your first 100 videos will be trash. It's supposed to motivate you somehow. In reality, it says that you'll spend the next years performing high-stress job for free, while the world doesn't give a shit about you. In any other industry, if a boss told you that your first 2 years of work would be trash and therefore unpaid, you'll call a labor lawyer. But in the creator economy, we call this hustle culture. The satire here is that the platform requires that period of incompetence, because you are learning how to speak a language the algorithm understands. You're expected to be a professional grade editor before you even have any sort of professional reason to exist. You're acquiring a skill set that is actually valuable. If you took these editing skills to a local business, you could earn a respectable living. Again, but the YouTube dream demands that you use these skills exclusively to build your own empire. An empire that consists of your mom and a bot from India commenting, "Good job." But you'll definitely ignore all my words too, only to realize that nobody needs your content. The fastest way to get a following is to find a group of people who are already angry and tell them they are right. Pick a side, stay on that side, and never, under any circumstances, suggest that the other side might have a point. Why? Because the algorithm knows exactly who to show your video to. People who already have a bias. They click, everyone is happy, everyone feels validated, and your view count climbs. But just for the experiment, try to introduce a challenging or a completely different perspective. You will see too many conflicting or balancing things at once. And since the algorithm is always listening, by the way, the overall signal blurs. YouTube is always about comfort content that reassures the viewer that their tastes and opinions are the only truth. You're free to say whatever you want, as long as this saying fits into either content type A or content type B. If you try to build a completely new bucket, you will get a middle finger. The whole tragedy of this situation is that even if you win by picking a side, you will definitely lose yourself. You start to see the whole world through the lens of your niche and your direct audience that you're trying to appeal to. And this is how the burnout starts, by the way. Even the biggest channels eventually cry on camera about their burnout. First, it's the upload schedule. The algorithm prioritizes velocity and frequency over anything else. Second is the emotional toll. When you start your channel, you do it to share your art, your words, or your vision. You start as a person, but to succeed, you must become a brand of yourself, and eventually you'll fail to sustain it. Finally, you've seen multiple times when burnout videos get more views than the channel's actual content. Algorithm has realized that pain in almost any form is a high retention topic. You get a surge of pity views, but the machine doesn't want you to heal, it wants you to stay in that profitable state of vulnerable but being capable of uploading. This creates a perverse incentive to stay miserable. There is even a new genre of channels with this specific type of content and with this specific type of premise. You will feel pity for them and they will get paid. Eventually, you will realize it's no longer a website for broadcasting yourself. YouTube is a platform for selling ads, and your video is just a billboard. Once you see the platform this way, everything else kind of becomes a joke. You will realize that you are working harder than you even thought possible, far longer than you ever imagined. All that effort so that $1 trillion corporation can sell a 5-second spot for toilet paper. Content creation is a creative job, and like any other creative job, you need to learn happiness while you're being poor and unknown. But in traditional art, being unknown usually means you have really small but dedicated and focused group of people who understand your work. On YouTube, being unknown means that you are being actively suppressed by a system that thinks that you are a bad product. In the end, burnout is your brain's way of telling you to stop being a brand. You were meant to be a human after all. So where do you go from here? I've got an answer for you too. There is one topic that is a guaranteed growth hack for a brand new channel: making a video about how to get views on YouTube. But in all seriousness, YouTube doesn't care about your art. To this specific machine, your art is just a retention-capable data. It's an electronic signal, nothing else. So if you are doing this for the money, the odds are so heavily stacked against you that it's functionally a scam. But if you are doing this for the art, the situation becomes a bit different. If you need money, get a job. If you need to speak, make a video. Mixing the two is the fastest way to end up with neither. To survive as a small channel without burning out, you have to be able to look at the video you spent 50 hours on, see that it has 12 views, and say, I will do that again. If you truly make a video that you are genuinely proud of, that represents your vision without any sort of compromise, then you have already succeeded. The money in this regard is a byproduct of good timing, luck, and relentless marketing analysis. But the art is a direct result of only your integrity. All I want you to do is to keep them separate. YouTube is no longer a platform for expression, experimentation, and free discussions. It is an entertainment machine driven by a greedy corporation that functions on the basis of unregulated capitalism and cable news tactics. It is a place where honesty is a marketing strategy and burnout is a metric. But inside, there are still people who find your video at 3 AM and feel a genuine connection to what you have said. There are still communities that form around real discussions, real emotions, real ideas, rather than just trends. These things are rare, they are difficult to find, and they don't pay. So don't make videos because you want to be a YouTuber. Make videos only and when you have something to say. Like calling a video game a gaslighting tool for the whole Gen Z generation.